Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is August 15th, 2023, and we now know Xavi's conditions for the arrival of Joao Felix. Also, Barcelona are not ruling out the signing of Ivan Fresneda despite the advanced talks to sign Joao Cancelo. And finally, Anderson Talisca has been linked with Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and before we begin with the news, just a quick reminder to make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps this channel continue to grow. Also, if you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you head to Kitback. And finally, if you do want to place any sports bet, you can use Bet Us. Both links are down below in the description. Now, begin with the news that Barcelona are ready to protest and defend Rafinha's case in order to avoid him receiving a 2-match suspension, which is currently what's being talked about in La Liga. Now, as you might recall, during Sunday's match against Getafe, Rafinha received a red card after he elbowed a Getafe player, Gaston, in the face. And there's currently talks about La Liga suspending Rafinha for 2 matches, and it's reported that Barcelona are ready to defend their player and to protest that suspension and try to avoid Rafinha getting a 2-match suspension and instead trying to reduce it to 1 match. Now, what Barcelona are gonna argue is that, first of all, the ball was in play between both players, because unlike many of the fouls that Getafe were committing, which were against Barcelona players who didn't have the ball, in this case, the ball was in the middle of both players. Also, Barcelona want to argue that the Getafe players had been violent all the match and that the referee had allowed it. So therefore, this was kind of a provoked attack. And finally, Barcelona are going to use their strongest evidence, which is based on precedent, which is that a few seconds before that, Rafinha elbowed Gaston in the face. Gaston had hit him in the face, had hit Rafinha in the face, and had even caused him to bleed. Now, I say that this defense is based on precedent because last season, Vinicius Jr. received a red card because he punched a player in the face, and yet Real Madrid argued that the reason that Vinicius had done that because that player had hit Vinicius a few seconds before that. So that was Vinicius' reaction to the assault on him or the battery on him, and La Liga did accept this defense, and Vinicius Jr. was only suspended for 1 match. So Barcelona are going to use Real Madrid's defense as a precedent and present clear images of Gaston hitting Rafinha a few seconds before Rafinha retaliated in order to try to reduce that 2-match ban only to 1. Now, speaking of Rafinha, it's reported that there's currently a debate within Barcelona on who should substitute Rafinha in the upcoming match in La Liga, where Barcelona are set to face off against Xavis. Now, there's currently debate on whether Lamine Yamal should start during the match to replace Rafinha on the right wing. And there's also debate about whether it should be Abde. However, we all know that Abde does much better on the left wing. And also, Xavi does not see Abde as a starter, but more of a player that can come off the bench and kind of unlock defenses for you or resolve a match for you. So for now, the debate is leaning towards Lamine Yamal. But of course, there are the concerns that Lamine Yamal is still pretty young for him to start in the first division. But we're going to have to see which debate wins out. And as always, I do love to hear from you. Who do you think should start against Xavis in place of Rafinha? Should it be Lamine Yamal? Should it be Abde? Maybe it should be a different player? Drop a comment down below. Now on to the news that Xavi Miguel has leaked a report stating that Xavi has made a certain demands from Barcelona in order for the club to sign Joao Felix. Now, Xavi Miguel is a reporter who's very close to Xavi Hernandez and his entourage, and he consistently leaks reports about the coach, and he has leaked the demands that Xavi Hernandez has made of Joan Laporta in order for him to agree to the signing of the Portuguese midfielder. Now, as I reported previously, Joan Laporta is considering signing a high-profile or making a high-profile signing during this summer transfer market in order to increase ticket sales at the Olympic Stadium in Montjuic. And the 2 options were either Neymar Jr. or Joao Felix. And since Neymar Jr. has joined the Saudi League, the only option remaining on the table is that of Joao Felix. Now, of course, as I told you before, Xavi Hernandez is not in favor of Joao Felix coming to the club because he prefers a different profile of a player. And it's reported that Xavi Hernandez has made two demands for Joan Laporta, that if he is to accept the arrival of Joao Felix, that Barcelona first need to meet these two demands. Now, the two demands that Xavi Hernandez has made of Joan Laporta is, number one, the signing of a right back, which of course I've been reporting about Barcelona signing Joao Cancelo. And the second demand is that Xavi Hernandez wants the signing of an attacking midfielder or a creative midfielder, with his number one option being Bernardo Silva, which is of course impossible. So his number two option would be Lo Celso, who currently plays at Tottenham Hotspur. Now, of course, in order for these two players to arrive, Barcelona will have to offload three players to clear enough space on the wage bill, with three players being Lenglet and Serginho Dest, and the third one, per Xavi's request, to be either Ansu Fati or Ferran Torres. So just to clarify, Xavi Hernandez wants Joan Laporta to first sign a right back, sign a creative midfielder, most likely Lo Celso, and offload Lenglet, Dest, and Ferran Torres or Ansu Fati in order for him to accept that the club will sign Joao Felix. Now, speaking of the right back position, as I reported in yesterday's live stream, Barcelona are very close to finalizing the signing of Joao Cancelo from Manchester City, where Barcelona have reached a personal agreement with the Portuguese fullback so he can come to Barcelona on a one-season loan, and where it's reported that the player has agreed to reduce his salary to sign for Barcelona, and where Barcelona have a pre-agreement with Manchester City, where the Premier League club have agreed to loan Joao Cancelo to Barcelona for one season. Now, the negotiations are still continuing, and as I reported in yesterday's live stream, what's holding up the finalization of this agreement is whether it's going to be an obligation or an option to buy, with Barcelona wanting to insert an option to buy worth 40 million euros, or where Manchester City are insisting that they want an obligation to buy worth around 60 million euros. Now, the new news is that Barcelona and Manchester City have set a deadline of this week, so they don't want to push the negotiations to the upcoming week. So by the end of this week, we should have hopefully a finalized deal for the signing of Joao Cancelo, and we'll know for sure whether it's going to be an option or an obligation to buy, and we'll also know how much that option will be worth. Now, speaking of right backs, it's reported that Barcelona are not ruling out the signing of Ivan Fresneda from Real Valladolid. Now, as I reported many times before, Ivan Fresneda is an 18-year-old right back who currently plays for Real Valladolid, who just got demoted to the second division of La Liga. And as such, Ivan Fresneda is looking to leave his club, and he has agreed to wait for Barcelona until the final days of the summer transfer market to see whether Barcelona are going to sign the right back, the young right back. Now, the signing of Ivan Fresneda is Deco's suggestion, and it's Deco's bet, because Deco believes that Ivan Fresneda will become an incredibly talented and high-profile right back in the future, and therefore he has suggested to Barcelona that they sign a player regardless whether Barcelona sign Cancelo or not. Now, of course, if Barcelona don't sign Cancelo, then Barcelona will go all in for Ivan Fresneda, and he will become Barcelona's right back. However, Deco is insisting that even if Barcelona do sign Joao Cancelo, that Barcelona should still sign Ivan Fresneda, because again, Deco believes that Ivan Fresneda will become one of the best right backs in the future, and that Barcelona could use his services in the future. And even if Barcelona decide not to use Ivan Fresneda, they could always sell him for a profit, because Deco is convinced that buying Ivan Fresneda for around 8 to 9 million euros this season will be an absolute steal, because he is confident that the value of the player will go up. So even if Barcelona don't end up using him on their team, they could still offload him in the future and make a good profit. Now, speaking of young players arriving in Barcelona, as I reported previously, Barcelona were hoping to bring Vitor Roque to the club during this summer transfer market, since Ousmane Dembélé has joined PSG. Now, Vitor Roque's agreement is to arrive in Barcelona in 2024, and Barcelona were hoping that if Atlético Paranaense were eliminated out of the Copa Libertadores, they could perhaps persuade the Brazilian club to allow Barcelona to have Vitor Roque during this summer transfer market. However, the CEO of Atlético Paranaense made some statements that even if Atlético Paranaense were eliminated out of the Libertadores Cup, they still wanted to hold on to the player because they wanted him to help them qualify to the next season's Copa Libertadores. Now, lo and behold, Atlético Paranaense did get eliminated from the Libertadores Cup, and therefore Barcelona dispatched Vitor Roque's agent André Curi to Brazil to try to negotiate with Atlético Paranaense, and even considering putting more money on the table so the Brazilian club can let us have Vitor Roque during this summer transfer market. And once again, Atlético Paranaense CEO has completely shut the door, stating that they're not interested of letting Vitor Roque go, not even for more money. So it seems that we will have to wait a few more months for the arrival of the Brazilian star. Now, speaking of Brazilian players, we will end today's video with two bits of odd news. The first one is regarding Neymar Jr., who was announced today as an Al Hilal player in the Saudi Pro League. And today, the French media outlet L'Equipe posted a report or shared a report stating that Neymar had agreed with his agent that in 2 years, which is when his contract expires with the Saudi Pro League club, that he would want to come back to Barcelona as a free agent. Now, the reason I said that this news is a bit odd because Barcelona, or Xavi Hernandez more specifically, did not want Neymar Jr. during this season. So why would Neymar Jr. think Barcelona would want him in 2 years when he'll be 33 years old and his level would have even declined further, not just because of age, but because he had just spent 2 seasons playing in a much inferior league, which makes me believe that Neymar Jr. simply lives in a completely different world or a different reality. Now, the second odd bit of news is that Anderson Talisca's agent has offered the player to Barcelona. And in case you don't know who Anderson Talisca is, it's okay, and nobody else does. He's a 29-year-old attacking midfielder who can also play as a second striker and as a center forward. And he currently plays in Al Nassr, where he has spent the last 2 seasons in Saudi Arabia, with the 2 seasons before that he had spent it in China. So it seems that Talisca's agent has offered the player to Barcelona because he thinks he could be, that solution to Xavi's search for a creative midfielder, or he could be a replacement for Dembele, or even a substitute for Robert Lewandowski, which of course, with all due respects to the player, that's absolutely laughable. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, I would like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions with all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Visca Barça.